Hi, welcome to my build of a Piper Cub J3. I've now got the wings and the fuselage completed, and I've also done the tailplane and the fin, and the next job is to actually fit the tailplane and the fin onto the rear of the fuselage. As you can see, this isn't parallel with the wings at the moment, so I'm going to be adjusting these mounts here so that that sits nice and parallel with the wings. Okay, so as well as making sure that this is actually parallel with the wings, I need to make sure that it's square as well. So to do that, I'm going to be measuring from the tips to the tips of the tailplane to the tips of the wings, just to make sure that's nice and square. I also need to be mindful that the end of the fuselage is flush with the end of the tailplane. At present there's a bit of a gap, so I need to trim out and adjust this here, the mounts. And the reason that needs to be like that is because the tailplane comes to there, comes right to the very end like that, and then you have the rudder, the control surface, which is flush up against that. And of course the third wheel, the tail dragger, comes down and is controlled by the rudder it's connected. So I'm going to be getting on and doing that now, and making sure everything fits nice and parallel, square, and get that into place. Okay, well, I've now got the tailplane glued in place, and as I said, I measured it from the wing tips and also made sure they were both level. I actually used epoxy on this. Most of the build I've been using PVA, but it's quite a sensitive area that can get knocked, whether you're landing or putting it in the car to go flying. It's quite easy to kind of damage, so I thought I'd use epoxy. And I've also been preparing the side pieces for fitting the fin. So the fin just slots in there, line that up centrally, and then I've got these couple of side pieces that just fit on like that. Once they're on, I'll just need to do a little bit of profiling here just to smooth those in and to bring it onto those stringers nicely. But that all seems nice. I'm quite pleased with that. I really didn't like gluing the tailplane in because it's quite a final job, and you've got to get it just right. But I'm quite pleased with the way that's gone, and it'll be nice to get the fin in now. So that's the stationary part of the fin, if you like, and then I've got the control surface that fits onto there like that. Still need to hinge it, but the back of the fin here needs to be parallel, level with the back of the fuselage, which it is. So I'm quite pleased. I'm going to get on and glue that now. I've also been making a wheel for because it's a tail dragger, and this will, let me just move the camera a little bit. I've got a couple of clips here that slot into the back of the fuselage. I'll put a slot in there. I won't push them all the way in, and then the tail hangs off the back. And I'll put a bend on this piece of wire, this piece of stainless steel, that will come into the fin. It'll just come at a right angle into the fin, and so as the fin turns, so will the wheel. So, but I'll put that in right at the very end after I've done the covering, because obviously it'll get in place of the covering if it's there before. Well, the tail assembly now is finished. The last job I did was to epoxy on this fin and the side pieces here, and to smooth all that off and make sure they were in line with the stringers, so that all looked nice when it was covered. and I've also put on the tail wheel. The tail wheel and the control surfaces are just on temporarily at the moment, so I could see how everything looked and lined up. I'm actually using mylar hinges. If I just take off the rudder, you can see the plastic mylar there, and I've just slotted. And the same with the elevators. The two elevators are linked with a central piece of 3mm stainless steel wire, which I'll just take off and show you. Okay, so they're just linked through there, and that'll be epoxied in eventually, but again that will be after the covering. And the tail wheel, that's just a piece of 3mm stainless steel I've bent to shape. One thing I would say about this is I've put in the tail wheel such that these metal inserts here, which I'll show you in a second, support the weight. It would be very easy to, because this piece of bend here goes into the tail fin, so that when into the rudder, so that when the rudder moves, the wheel moves as well. It would be very easy to set this up in a way that actually the weight from that is being taken by the mylar hinges. So I need to be very careful that these supports are low enough that they impact on that bend there, and it's just and that's taking the weight, and not the control surface. Not the hinges for the control surface, because that wouldn't probably last very long. So as the rudder moves, so does the wheel. So I'm really pleased to get this all finished now, and it's looking good. I'll soon be moving on to fitting everything out with the electronics.